And now, it's time for another episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. A show made by 12s from around the world, for 12s around the world. I'm Mozette, and here's your host and my dad, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Mozette. I am Moses, and welcome to episode 803, the Postdraft 2020 edition of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show, as our Seahawks get ready to take on the new rookie draft class. So please, keep your hands inside the moving vehicle at all times, put your tray table up and your seat back into the full upright position, grab a desired beverage or sit of your choice, and just so you know, between you and me, I think Goodell seemed a little bit tipsy last week during the draft. I don't know, but can you blame him? I mean, he's in his basement. He's got sports on the TV. I mean, who doesn't have a beer when they're doing that?
If I was hanging out with him, I'd want to be drunk too.
Amen. We have a skeleton crew here this evening, but that's okay. It's better than no posse. Some posse's better than no posse. First, our news hound, Shadowhawk Will is here. Hi, Will.
Really bad, Moses.
And we're off. How are you, Will?
I'm good. You know, I decided to embrace this whole stay-at-home all day, every day thing, and now my morning alarm plays "I Got You, Babe" by Sonny and Cher. So,
little Groundhog Day action going. Gotta love it. Have you ever picked it up and broken it, and the next day it's still there?
No, because I paid quite a lot for this phone, and I'm not going to take that chance.
You're very wise. Someone else who's very wise is our other posse member tonight. That's Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I got two things here real quick.
Oh, please share.
Yeah, one, I want to say thank you to Domino's Pizza.
Oh, Domino's.
I know they're listening.
Domino's.
Last week, they donated 50 pizzas to my department of radiology at Madigan.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Hey, yes. Thank you, Domino's.
They donated another 50.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
I'm going to buy Domino's pizza the next week to celebrate on your behalf. That's a wonderful thing.
Pretty cool. And then the second thing here, little fun story, or I don't know, embarrassing story, I guess. My kids.
One does not preclude the other.
True. So one of my kids, he hadn't been shaving, and we're giving him shit, and then we're like, no, just don't shave, see what happens. Turns out he, at 16, is already able to start growing a thicker, better beard than I ever could.
That's what you get for saying it.
Yeah, a little embarrassing.
Was the other one, now you have twins, is the other one also growing it out, or?
No, he shaves. He doesn't.
Well, that's good, because you can tell them apart now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You gotta love that. How's Kona doing? Our 12-Man Fan Jam Show mascot, Kona, your dog.
Oh, she's doing real good. She's doing real good. Turns out she's a little overweight, but she's doing well.
That's all right. Better than...
She went to the vet last Friday. And they told me she was overweight. We should probably feed her less and exercise her more. So she fits right in.
Little doggy beach body or something. And really, to recap, you said, I think we should elaborate a little bit. You said Domino's gave your job 50 people. What you do for a living, I think, is very important, especially right now.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I work in a radiology department, an X-ray department on a military base. So I work at an Army hospital. So, but
any hospital carrying right now is that you guys are superheroes. We appreciate that. I mean, hospital at anywhere. We appreciate all your work, and well done by Domino's giving you guys those pizzas. That's well deserved and well earned. If you notice, of course, Matt from Merry Old England, Satsman Mark, not with us for this episode. They're self-isolating to the extreme. So I don't know what that means, but there you go. It's our 177th episode of this show. We'll keep doing it till we get it right. So let's go ahead and get started on this one. Fat Tony.
Very well. Let's do this thing.
All right, let's go. This show is run like a real NFL football game, 4 quarters and a halftime. Quarter one, will catch us up on the news, especially Seahawk news that happened over the last week or so involving a couple players that are no longer with us. Not that they passed away, but they are no longer a Seahawk. Quarter two, we are going to start talking about the drafted players. Rounds 1, 2, and 3, the players drafted from 1, 2, and 3 for the Seahawks, we'll talk about in quarter two. Halftime is the best Seahawk-themed trivia game on the internet. I refer to, of course, 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia.
The world.
of the world, and Dustin won last episode.
I like it when that happens.
Yeah, I can't say last week because it was a couple weeks ago, but yeah. Congratulations. You're looking to make it 3 out of 3, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah, sounds right. Second half, we'll finish up looking at the Seahawk draft picks. Rounds 4, 5, and 6, we'll talk about quarter 3, and quarter 4, we'll go round 7, and the undrafted free agents. And to serve, we here at 12 Man Fan Jam Show believe that you have the right to know things that other shows will not give you. We try to be unique. We try to be different. Throughout the show, I will have a special college player spotlight of some college players that went undrafted. So you're going to want to stay tuned and listen to the start of second, third, and fourth quarter as I present the college player, undrafted player spotlight. So there's something to look forward to there. Before we start, please like, share, subscribe to Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Join us on the Facebook group, 12 Man Fan Jam Show. We're also on Twitter at Seahawk Positivity. Email 12manfanjamshow@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Look for this very podcast and download it. Take it with you. And all of our past episodes, the last couple seasons, off Podbean and iTunes. And now it is time for news. Yes, news of the NFL. It's Shadowhawk Will and the 12-Man Fan Jam Show news report brought to you this episode by our sponsor, the NFL Draft Game. Sit around with your family, and only your family, and wait for that call. Is it grandma? Is it a friend waiting to know if you're rich yet? Or is it an NFL team telling you that you are now an NFL draft pick? Yes, grab the right hat and wear it with pride before sinking back into deep self-isolation depression. Yes, wailing grandma screaming God's name throughout her tears is not included. Will, what you got for us?
Interesting promo, Moses. And
it is.
I have
that
to say
crying grandma thing. I'm looking forward to that, doll.
Yeah, if I had a friend who was waiting to get drafted by the NFL, I think I would go out, buy one of those disposable phones, and then call when the team he wanted was on the clock.
So
yes, it would.
Mean.
But it would be funny.
But funny.
Well, Moses, NFL, it's a rough business, and we found that out actually last Sunday, excuse me. In the wake of the draft, when news broke Sunday afternoon that a couple of Seahawks were getting let go. Not terribly surprising given their cap space and the people that we had brought in, but still, DJ Fluker was the first domino to fall. He was the first one that we got news about. Yeah, and that was, again, not surprising, but still sad because the guy played his heart out. Wasn't the most durable of players. He never has been, to be honest. But good guy, powerful run blocker, great fit in the locker room. I know Chris Carson. I saw his Twitter. He was not terribly happy when he heard the news. But yeah, it's rough seeing Fluker go.
Yeah. It is. It's a business, and Dustin, very popular player. A lot of people were upset to see Fluker being released. Fluker, remarkably, fantastically classy and respectful during the whole thing. Great guy. Dustin, what are your thoughts about Fluker when you think about him as a Seahawk?
I think the reason why he was so popular with the fans and the locker room is because any videos you see of him, like during the game and in interviews after the games and things, he's got a very infectious personality.
Yes.
He's somebody that's very, very likable and intense in a good way. Like, he was so stoked about taking it to Ndamukong Suh when we played him. First time with the Rams, 2 years ago, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
And he was thrilled about what he did to him and throwing him around and knocking him down.
So was I.
Yeah.
Was that? Oh, yeah.
So was I.
Me too. Yep, same here. Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's big personality. He was kind of the personality that we were lacking in a way after we lost Marshawn Lynch. And people kind of gravitate to those kind of people that they're fun and you enjoy watching them, and the players enjoyed his presence. And honestly, it was a surprise to me he was cut, as much as of a surprise as it was to me that we brought Apati back, because I thought Apati would be gone and Fluker would be staying on.
Yeah, I was too. I really was too. That's a great point. Fluker, for me, my memory of him is if you have him on Twitter or Instagram, especially Twitter, a couple years ago when he first joined the team, and I think it was maybe the preseason before, before he was actually on the team, or maybe it was after the first season. Anyway, some summer thing. Him and his wife doing exercising, and him this is a great big guy jumping around and doing, these exercises that you really wouldn't expect a guy of his size or his caliber to be doing. And they did dancing is what it was. They were doing dancing, and it was so funny to see this guy with this. I think it was his wife. I think she's like 1/3 his size, height and weight. And to see the two of them dancing around, it was so cute, so funny, and so poignant. I became a fan instantly. So yeah, I'm going to miss Fluke. And you can't say enough about what the guy did here, and you just wish him the best. And luckily, I believe he went with the Ravens. Is that right?
Yep.
So out of conference, out of division. God bless him, and best wishes there. They got a really good lineman there.
He was a very, very underrated actor.
Yeah,
Yes.
You're talking about with Lockett. Yeah,
his stellar video there.
With Lockett. Yeah, hey Seattle, we got a deal.
I thought that was Sierra.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Well done. Yeah, well, and who was the other guy that we lost this week as well?
Well, this one, news broke on this player after Fluker, and this one was actually been speculated. It seemed fairly likely it would happen given his cap hit this year, over $8 million. But, Justin Britt, who had played center for us since 2016, missed most of last season with an injury, of course. But when we drafted Britt, we drafted him to be right tackle, and that didn't really work. Then we tried him at guard, and that really didn't work. And then going into 2016, when they moved him to center, I honestly thought that was the end of the road for him. This was just desperately trying to get something out of a high draft pick, and that he wasn't even going to make it to regular season that year. And then he made the Pro Bowl that year, and was a very solid center for us, did a great job. I was just impressed that he was able to do it after never playing center in his entire life prior to that season. But he was another guy, just nasty guy in the trenches, would fight with it. Well, not fight with anybody, but mix it up with anybody. Let's not confuse him with Jermaine Affiti here. But great competitor, good player, and I hope he catches on somewhere too. Because
I'm sure he will. Now, what I thought was interesting, though, well, not to interrupt you, sorry. What I thought was interesting is, I believe, was he the one that I read that was a failed physical? Is that right?
That's what it said.
Yeah.
Yep.
That raised my eyebrow a little bit. So, and he hasn't been picked up by anybody yet. So, definitely it's another story of a guy who, I'm like you, Will, and they moved him to center after being a failure at tackle, being a failure at guard. I'm like, okay, this is it, dude. There aren't any more spots on the line unless you're going to be like Fant and be ineligible. And I thought, this is it for this guy. And he responded at center amazingly and just had a great job, did a great job at center for us. Everyone kind of thought that was going to happen. Dustin, let me ask you something. When Fluker was cut before Britt, I believe, when Fluker was cut, did you think that meant that maybe they were going to hang on to Britt? Because I kind of did.
No, I didn't, because of all the speculation prior to that, and we knew situation with the Clowney. And but honestly, I anticipated there'd be a Clowney signing soon after Britt, but that hasn't happened. But I assumed Britt was going to be gone. I was surprised about the failed physical designation as well, because one, most NFL players are not able to get physicals right now.
Right.
So I was wondering how that happened. And then two, it makes me wonder how far along he is in his progress.
Right. That's a good point.
Hopefully he gets right and he's able to play somewhere next season, but it's going to be hard for him to sign anywhere until he can see a doctor for other teams and get physicals from their guys.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. He might have to wait until training camp to get another contract somewhere.
That's sad. Well, we wish him the best as well, and to thank for all he did. Also, a remarkable job at center for us, and very thankful. I know some people that knew family members of him and said, that he's a great guy. So I'm sure he is. Wish him both the best. A little sad way to open the show, but I think those news stories are certainly worthy because those two certainly deserve our attention and our gratitude for what they've done. We're going to go to the first quarter, end of the first quarter. But before we do, Will, I believe we have a couple shout outs. Shout out. Okay. Will, is it okay if I start?
Yeah.
I'll start, and we'll pick this up. As you know, last episode we had the NFL 2000, the 12-Man Fan Jam Show 2020 NFL Draft Challenge, where Will made an entire list, a wonderfully constructed, well thought out, and educated list of players he thought the Seahawks would draft, and then I just went for goofy names. Well, we put it on the Facebook page, as we said, our 12-Man Fan Jam Facebook page, and we said, hey, if you have a list, put it on there. We had a couple people that did put it on. We appreciate that. For anyone who put it on, thank you for doing that. Thank you for participating. It's a lot of fun on the 12-Man Fan Jam Show page when people participate like that. And sure enough, even though Will had nobody and I had nobody, longtime listener and participant on our 12-Man Fan Jam Show page, one Mr. Josie Rodriguez did say that the Seahawks would draft Alton Robinson. So congratulations to him. No, it's Jose Rodriguez. I'm sorry, Jose. I'll just give you a hard time. Jose.
Bar Choco Mouse?
Josie Rodriguez. Now, here's what I'm going to do for Jose, and I'm going to let Will pay respects as well. Starting next week, starting about May 4th, we'll say. Starting about May 4th, there's going to be a Jose Rodriguez congratulations thread on the 12-Man Fan Jam Show Facebook page for us to brag about him and for him to brag about himself. So, Jose, be sure to fill that up at all Jose's friends from our page. And there are a lot of them. So give Jose a great long time, a lot of bragging and good feelings. So be looking for that soon on our Facebook page. And congrats again to Jose Rodriguez for picking Alton Robinson, and we'll talk about him later. Will, you have something to add as well?
I have a video.
Indeed you do.
Hi guys, this is Will with your 12-Man Fan Jam Show podcast. As you know, every year Moses and I do a draft challenge. We each come up with a mock draft, have points for players that we get right that are drafted to Seattle, extra points if we get them in the same round. I spent a lot of time this year going over prospect profiles, doing mock drafts, checking with people that I really trust to get this stuff right. And after all that work, how did I do? That's right. Complete goose egg. I walshed this one. It's like watching Jermaine Ifedi trying to get through a whole game without a false start. It just wasn't in the cards. Moses, at this point, may still have a shot at getting one of his guys signed as an undrafted free agent. Mine are all off the board elsewhere, so I got a big fat goose egg this year. But somebody didn't, and I want to take a moment and give a shout out to Jose Rodriguez, a founding member of Team 12. He also did a mock draft on our Facebook page, and on that draft he had Seattle taking Alton Robinson. Which of course we did in the 5th round, I believe. Yeah, he was a 5th round pick. So you know, I got 0. Moses probably got 0. Jose, you got it. So much respect. Tip of the cap to you, my friend, and I'll get you next year. All right. Congrats again, Jose, and let's hope the guys we did draft turn out to be great players for us because we can use it. So. All right.
All right. Let's get to the end of the first quarter.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
All right, coming up on this post-draft 2020 edition of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show, we discuss the Seahawk 2020 draft picks. And we're going to do that right after this.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, a Seahawk Positivity production.
That's the fact, Jack!
Holy shit, it's the second quarter.
Well, look, you came back to the second quarter of the 2020 post-draft episode of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show, where maturity is often a reach and not a lot of potential. Hey, it's time to look into the 2020 Seattle Seahawks first, second, and third round picks. But before we do that, as promised, as a public service, something you will get any other podcast except here on the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, let's take a look at a college player that went undrafted in the 12-man Fan Jam Show Undrafted Player Spotlight. All right. This guy here is named Bubba Dean. Bubba Dean is an offensive lineman from Northwest Southeastern Indiana Tech State. Bubba's course of study in college was elementary education. Not to teach, he literally had to take elementary classes in college. That's how dumb he is. He majored in finger painting and eating glue. He can count up to 5 without a calculator. He wants to be a big boy when he grows up and hopes to go bathroom all by himself someday. As far as drafting as a player, Bubba is slow to non-existent in blocking unless the player he's blocking instructs him to do so. He doesn't know how to pull or push or can't even get into a huddle for that matter. His 40 time is in minutes, and his blocking skills are equal to that of a pineapple. That was Bubba Dean, an undrafted player in our undrafted player spotlight. Aren't you
Sounds like
glad?
a good candidate for Jim Bob Cooter.
Aren't you glad the Seahawks did not draft this guy? But they did draft some guys. And here's who they did draft. First round, they took Texas Tech linebacker JORDYN Brooks. Will?
Well, Moses, I've got to say, I've watched a lot of Seahawk drafts, and I can never remember being quite as flabbergasted as I was by this selection. As you know, I do a lot of research leading up to the draft. A lot of mock drafts. Listen to a bunch of people do the scouting reports. I never heard one person mock Brooks to Seattle, and linebacker didn't seem like a huge position of need. But you know, the more you look at this guy, and I think I posted on the Facebook page Samuel Gold's film breakdown on him. It was about 12 minutes. It's well worth a watch. But he's just flying around to the ball. He's hitting people. He's chasing people down. And that's something we really did not have last year. I mean, we were giving up nearly 5 yards a rush. We were giving up over 6 yards a play. You know, our pass rush, any pass rush is going to have a hard time getting home if the other team has 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 all the time. So, you know, we need more speed. We need more athleticism. We need more violence on defense. You know, like we had back in the good old LOB days when it was just everybody flying around and hitting people. And the more you look at Brooks on tape, the more you just see somebody who can really fill that role. And, you know, has some work to do in coverage, but I think that's something that he can do, and I think that he's going to see time right away at the weak side linebacker position. I think they're going to get him in there as much as they can and just turn him loose on teams. This could be a fun kid to watch.
He could be. Now, you know, Will, if you don't know Will very well, he very rarely is flabbergasted. He often has kerfluffle, but very rarely is there flabbergasting coming from Will. So that means something.
That was me going from ridiculous speed to ludicrous speed right there. It's just like,
ooh. Nice. Dustin, what were your thoughts on JORDYN Brooks before, during, and after the drafting?
Before the draft, didn't know the guy. No thoughts.
Yeah.
During the draft, when they drafted him, I said, okay, cool. Linebacker. Had no idea we needed that, but apparently we did.
Yeah.
And then in learning about him after the fact, then reading about him, watching videos, checking out his draft profile and stuff like that. Looks like he's somebody who's very, very good against the run, really good sideline to sideline. Brings some speed to the defense that we were severely lacking last season.
Yes.
So I'm all for it. And the dude was consistent in college as far as tackling goes. He was on it all 4 years. I think he was a leading tackler on his team. If not, he was one of the top couple on his team, and he was all over it. So I'm excited to see how he does and how he fits in the offense. Sounds a lot or defense. I mean, that is a Seahawks.
He's our new offensive lineman. Yeah. We're going back to the Tom Cable years.
Oh God, no.
Right, but sounds like he plays the same role, or they anticipated kind of playing the same role as KJ Wright. A lot of people are saying, which would be fine. KJ's getting a little older, and those knee braces are not getting any smaller.
Indeed.
So I'm all for the speed.
Yeah, indeed. And, another pick that I've heard the so-called pundits and experts don't hate the pick. So I guess that means something to somebody. I don't know. But, round the first, they had him a early second, late first round pick. That's where he went. Nobody really complaining about this pick. I saw some film that we'll put on the page, and it was pretty remarkable. So I'm excited about him. I think he's going to be a very useful defender. I hope he can get on the field a lot. And we could see him fly around the field. That would be awesome. Really badly needed. So that's speed especially. Second round, Will, defensive end from Tennessee called Darrell Taylor. What do you know about him?
Well, I know that when Seattle trades up for somebody, it usually bodes pretty well. The last three people we traded up for were Tyler Lockett, Jaron Reed, and DK Metcalf.
Not bad. Not bad.
So it's good pedigree right there. But, physically, the guy's perfect fit for our Leo position. He had 8.5 sacks last year despite playing on a stress fracture in his leg and dropping back into coverage, which we're not going to have him do at this level. This was not a great defensive line class. You basically had to you looked at prospects and it's like, okay, I'm looking for this. I can live with this. You look at Taylor. He still needs to refine himself as a pass rusher, but as far as pure athleticism and skill and speed, and the guy just explodes off of the snap. So he's got the speed, he's got the athleticism. He just needs to develop a little bit more, develop some pass rush moves. I think he's got a higher upside than anybody in this draft class not named Chase Young. He's not as finished a product as some of the people that went before him, but if the team can get the most out of him, we could be looking back on this a few years down the road and say, how the hell did he last into the middle of the second round?
Yeah.
I really like this kid.
Well, Tennessee has been known to have some pretty good defensive ends, Guy named Reggie White, I think, went there. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Did he play in the USFL?
I think he did as well. Yeah. Interesting pick, defensive end. We all knew that was something that the Seahawks were hoping to get some defensive ends in this draft. Dustin, what is your thought?
I'm glad they addressed the pass rush issue there. And I saw that he's like 6'4", 260 something, which is definitely Leo/edge rusher size for those guys.
Big fan.
Right in the mold. When I was reading about him, learning about him, one of the reports I read, which I thought was hilarious, one of his strengths said, chiseled out of granite. So, I like that. It's pretty good. I guess he must be a pretty stout dude. And then it also something that intrigued me about it when I was reading about him and whatnot. It says that he looks for strip sacks when he gets there. Now, nice. I like that quite a bit. That's very Cliff Averill-esque type thing to do.
Indeed.
I'm a big fan of the strip sacks, so I'm looking forward to see what this guy can do. And apparently he's good at setting the edge against the run game too, so that's very helpful.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm excited about him. I mean, we'll see what happens. He's on the right team with a very good defensive coach. If he's going to learn how to play defense, have some new moves taught to him. Third round, Will, Damian Lewis, offensive guard from LSU. Your thoughts there?
Well, in my draft review article, I said that he'd compete with DJ Fluker for the starting guard job, and guess
what?
But no, I mean, he'll battle with some guys. But honestly, if he's not starting week one, I'm going to be shocked because this is exactly the kind of guy that our coaching staff wants as an offensive lineman. He's 6'2", 327 pounds, absolute road grader, pancakes people.
Also enjoys pancakes.
327 pounds, I'd imagine he does. Very strong guy. Played with pain. He left the semifinal matchup this past year against Oklahoma with an ankle injury, and then came back to play in the national title game. Did well in the one-on-one pass rush drills at the Senior Bowl, so he's at least a decent pass blocker.
That's good.
Yeah, I think he's going to be starting week one, and I think he's going to be our long-term starter at that position.
Wow, that's some heavy praise there, Dustin.
Well, first off, he was draft pick number 69, and he can wear 69. So
69, dude.
I kind of hope he does that because I just think that's kind of fun. But I when they drafted this guy and I saw he's a guard, he's been a guard. That's what he does. I was like, man, that is so awesome. We didn't draft like a defensive lineman to come and play guard. We didn't get a project at that spot. We got a guy that plays the position, knows the position, has been good at the position, and that's what he's going to be expected to do in Seattle.
What?
So, I know. I really, really like how that works out.
Who knew? Who knew that was possible? I didn't know it was even possible.
He's got a lot of size. He seems really strong too. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, great
learning.
pick. And obviously now with what's happened with across the line with our starters, looks like he probably will be a good chance to at least compete for that starting position. Should probably get it unless something happens. So
there's one other thing I liked about him too that I saw. Sorry, I didn't quite get to it, but it says that he's not somebody that will get taken out by a bull rush. It's not going to happen. And when I saw that, I was so happy because I kept thinking of Joey Hunt in the interior all season long.
Yeah.
It's like, great. I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Yeah, that's a great point. We're interested to see if he winds up starting as, rookie 3rd round pick, which I think he has a really good chance to. So, but there's a lot of linemen. I think I think there's like 457,000 linemen going to camp in Seattle. So,
well, there's 2 fewer than there were. So,
good point. So,
do that math.
No, math. I know how much Dustin loves math, so I'll let him do the math. And speaking of that, guess what? It is almost halftime.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
Yes, we are grinding through that massive draft class of the 2020 Seattle Seahawks. But right now, we're going to take a small break from that and have the posse square off one-on-one. Another rousing rendition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. And that is coming up next.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, a Seahawk Positivity production.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. And here's your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity. Yes, thank you, me, and welcome to another rousing rendition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia
of the world.
The trivia game that tests the knowledge of both our posse and our listeners. Our contestants are the posse themselves, Dustin and Will, and the rules are on the clock. So here's how the trivia game works. There'll be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant answers 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get 1 point. After 2 rounds of questions, there'll be a final trivia question worth 2 points. If there's a tie after that, then the tie players go on to a special secret overtime question where the winner becomes reigning 12-Man Fan Jam Show Trivia Champion and also gets a prize chosen especially for them. As an added bonus to those listening on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, the questions and possible answers will be displayed on your screen so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well. If you do, please let us know how you did on the questions. Remember, there's no Googling, no phone a friend, and please, no wagering. However, there is a lifeline. Before taping this show, my 2 charming Seahawk fan children, Mosette and Little Mo, did take the quiz as well. If the contestants want to know what the kids said, they can ask that but once and only once during the entire game show and only in the first 2 rounds. Now let's get ready to play 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. All right, those are the rules. Now here's the difference in the rules that I presented just now. Mosette and Little Mo usually give an answer to the quiz, and they can pick if they want to hear that. We changed it a little bit tonight because, of course, our friend Matt from Merry Old England, who's usually on the show, could not be with us this evening because he's actually, in all honesty, the reason he can't be here is because he is working very hard with a task force in England to kind of get the coronavirus information out on the internet to where he lives. So it's kind of a serious business why he's not here. But what he did do was he was able to, I sent him the questions and he was able to send back answers. So I'm going to allow the posse to hear what Matt says before they answer tonight, just because I feel like being nice. So I believe that the winner last show was Dustin. So Dustin, are you even or are you odd?
Odd.
Dustin is odd.
And I'll get even.
And you'll get even. All right, here we go. All right. I will read the question. I will read the options, and then I will tell you what Matt said, and then we go from there. All right? Does that sound good?
Yep.
Don't care if it doesn't. All right, here we go. Okay. Question 1 goes to Dustin. Dustin, question 1 is about Jordan Hill. Jordan Hill was born in what Texas city? Dallas, Houston, or San Antonio? And
Jordan Hill or Jordan Brooks?
Oh, sorry. Jordan Brooks.
R&B singer?
Yeah, not Jordan Hill. Jordan Brooks.
What was the question again?
Jordan Brooks. Was he born in Dallas, Houston, or San Antonio?
I spent some time in San Antonio. I probably saw him around town. I'll say San Antonio.
Okay. Do you want to hear
Really
what Matt
small
said?
town.
You want to hear what Matt said?
Sure.
Matt said Houston. Does that change you at all?
Yeah. I'll say Dallas.
Okay, so just to clarify, he said Houston, you said San Antonio, now you're changing it to Dallas.
No, I'll keep with the original. It's fine.
Okay. just to confuse me a little bit.
New York City.
Yeah.
Get it right.
Well, guess what? No, you should have gone with Dallas. Actually,
Oh, dang it!
It was Dallas.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. So, okay, now it's time for Will. Will, Darrell Taylor is your questions topic. Darrell Taylor played at the University of Tennessee. What other former player drafted by the Seahawks also played for the University of Tennessee? Was it Sam Adams, Rashad Moore, or Michael Sinclair? Who was drafted for the Seahawks that played University of Tennessee? Sam Adams, Rashad Moore, or Michael Sinclair?
I'm going to go with Moore.
Go with more. How do you like it? More. Do you want to hear what? I'll let you hear what Maddie said.
Yeah.
Maddie said, as you know, my knowledge of the U.S. educational setup is unparalleled. I know my Purdue from my Indiana State, my Texas M from my Boney M. So I'll say Rashad Moore. And you said Rashad Moore?
Yep, I'm sticking with that.
All right. Yes! Will's on the board. All right. More. How do you like it?
I knew it wasn't
Maybe I need
Sam
to hear what
Adams,
Matt
so.
says before I pick.
Well, I will tell you. If you want to pick it, I'll tell you. You can change. So don't worry.
All right.
Your question is about Damian Lewis, 3rd round pick. Damian Lewis was drafted by the Seahawks in the 3rd round. There's an actor named Damian Lewis who played Steve McQueen in what film? Hustlers, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or Wolf of Wall Street? Steve McQueen was in what movie? Hustlers. Well, the guy playing Steve McQueen. Was he in Hustlers, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or Wolf of Wall Street?
Well, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood took like way back with Bruce Lee and guys like that, so I'll say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
So you're gonna, did you watch that movie?
Not yet. I've heard it's pretty good, though.
It's wonderful.
Pretty good movie.
Wonderful. Well, all those are pretty good, actually. He said, my knowledge of British thespians is on point, which is too bad because I'm not sure. I think Damian Lewis is a guy. But anyway, he said, I'm pretty sure this one is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And that's what you said. You couldn't both be wrong, could you?
I doubt it.
No, you're right. Dustin's on the board.
Margot Robbie was a perfect Sharon Tate.
Oh, wasn't she awesome? She is amazing. Yep. How about that? Who thought that would happen?
Harley Quinn was in that too, huh?
Yeah, she's amazing in it. Yeah, she plays the best Sharon Tate.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm sorry. Will, the Seahawks drafted Colby Parkinson in the 4th round.
You're right.
Okay. Hey, here's your question, though. Colby Cheese is named after what? The first name of the youngest son of the developer, the last name of the developer or the name of the city in which it was developed. Colby Cheese, what's it named after? The youngest son, the last name, or the name of the city where it happened? Colby Cheese.
Well, people with kids tend to get sentimental about them for some reason, so
They
I'm
do.
going to say it's the name of the son.
So you're going to name of the son. I will tell you what Matt said. Colby Cheese doesn't sound very inviting over here in merry old England. We name cheese after the place's name. So Cheddar Gorge, Stilton, and Red Leicester. So I'll say the city in which it was developed. You say the son. Are you changing or are you staying?
I'm sticking.
You're sticking with it. I appreciate that. Even when it's wrong. Yeah, sorry. He's right. It was the city. Colby. Colby County, Wisconsin, I believe, is where it's at. So.
Oh, well, then it wasn't the city. It was the county.
Well,
so you were
was,
wrong,
it was
too.
the city. It was Colby City. But, yeah, whatever. All right. Hey, Dustin. It's 1-1, by the way. Dustin, the Seahawks drafted DJ Dallas in the 4th round. What is DJ Jazzy Jeff's real name? DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Jeffrey Allen Towns, Alan Jeffrey Towns, or Stephen Allen Towns. Mr. Towns, what is DJ Jazzy Jeff's real name? Jeffrey Allen Towns, Alan Jeffrey Towns, or Stephen Allen Towns?
Ah, shit. I know this.
That's
What
crazy.
the hell? It's, No, Ice Cube's real name is O'Shea Jackson.
Yeah, okay, that's totally... That helps you absolutely nothing right now. That gives you nothing.
And LL Cool J stands for Ladies Love Cool James.
It's true. I want to say it's Jeffrey Allen Towns.
Jeffrey Allen.
Yeah. The Vanilla Ice's real name is Rob Van Winkle.
Okay. All
Why'd
these
you
names.
change? Nothing rhymes with Winkle.
We learned so much tonight on this show. Okay, Matt said DJ Jazzy Jeff. Didn't he do something with Will Smith? I'm not really into all this modern music. It's like 30 years ago.
No, that was the Fresh Prince. That's a different guy.
Yeah, I'm more of a classical or country fan. No idea, so I'll say Alan Jeffrey Towns. You said Jeffrey Allen Towns. And we're living in Allentown. Yes!
Here we go.
Dustin with 2. Allentown, quick. We're living in Allentown. This is when I miss Statsman Mark because he's going to say that was Billy Joel and he'd be right. All right. Well,
but we're walking in Memphis.
It's 2. Thank you. It's 2-1. Well, here's your next question. The Seahawks picked Alton Robinson in the 5th round.
I think Jose predicted that.
He did. Here's something Jose may or may not know. What city was Alton born in? What Texas city? Was it Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio? Wait a minute. Those are the same questions we had at number 1. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Dallas, Houston, or San Antonio. Where was Alton Robinson born? And I'll give you Matt's answer. Matt said, Alton makes me think of Alton Towers theme park over here in the UK. Roller coasters and such. This knowledge helps absolutely no one, of course, so I'll say Houston.
So he picked Houston last time. Dustin originally started out with San Antonio, but went to Dallas. I'm going to stay with San Antonio.
Oh.
Where paste picante sauce is made.
And there's also a Six Flags right by
there.
There is.
I have some picante sauce here made in New York City.
New
York City. Sorry. You said San Antonio. Back to the topic.
Yep.
Yes! 2-2 as we go to the final round.
Lovely city, by the way.
Yeah,
there's also a Schlitterbahn right by there. It's like a water park.
I will have to go there sometime. Dustin, your final question here before the final question. The Seahawks picked Freddie Swain from the University of Florida in the 6th round. What other former Seahawk wide receiver was also from the University of Florida? Brian Blades, Darrell Jackson, or Corin Robinson?
I'm pretty sure it was Darrell Jackson, wasn't it?
Oh, well, let's see what Matt says. Matt says University of Florida, you say, again with those bloody university questions. I'll go with Corin Robinson. But you're going with Darrell Jackson?
Yeah, I actually have no idea, so yeah. Darrell Jackson. Will obviously knows.
Yep.
Well, yeah, he got it, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah,
Blades went to the U.
Miami, and Corin Robinson went to NC State.
That's correct. That is correct. And Jackson went to Florida. All right, last question. 3-2, Will. The Seahawks drafted Stephen Sullivan from LSU in the 7th round. How many catches did Sullivan have for LSU in his senior season? 12, 14, or 15? How many catches? 12, 14, or 15 in his senior season? Matt
12.
said he better have 15, or why did we even bother to draft him? You say 12?
Matt, you're gonna be disappointed because he had 12.
Guess what? Yeah, he had 12. All right. Oh my God. Oh my God, guys, guess what? It's tied.
What?
It's tied. But don't worry because it's time for
question.
Final question. Here we go. Final question is a number, and I have a feeling somebody's going to get this right off the bat. Oh, you tied. So Dustin goes first, and Will goes next. First one without going over gets the crown for this evening. Becomes reigning 12-man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia champion until we play this again. All right, here we go. It's a number, no decimal. Will might know this, actually. Dustin, we'll see. Dustin, are you ready?
All right, you said we're tied at 4?
Tied at 3.
Oh, okay, I was going to say, I thought I got one wrong. Okay.
You're human. All right, here we go. Hey, Dustin, how many total draft picks were in the 2020 NFL draft? How many total draft picks in the draft?
32 times. Math? 4.
It's math!
Hold on.
Oh, my God.
I'm trying to do the math in my head. So
No Google.
I'm just trying to start with the base. I know there's compensatory picks. But I'm trying to do 32 times 7 in my head, and it takes a minute. That's what 224. And then I'll say there was like 20 comp picks, maybe. I don't know. So I'll say 250. I'll go 250.
250.
That sounds good.
Will.
255.
250. 255. The actual number of draft picks in the 2020 draft. 255. That's not a shocker.
Oh, nice.
You knew what was going to happen there.
Dustin, pretty good guess, though. I'm impressed.
Our draft expert shows why he is our draft expert. Will is reigning 12-man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia champion. Congratulations, Will.
Thanks. I had to get something right with this draft.
Well, heck yeah. I knew what I thought. I shouldn't do this because I know Will's going to know it, but oh well. Dustin, you were very close. You just should have carried the 1. You would have had it.
I should have, or had more or something.
Okay, real quick, overtime. How many compensatory picks were there?
I guess 20-something. I don't know.
Will?
23.
I'm going to say 30.
32. 32. So close. Yeah. Hey, guess what? Another crowd-pleasing, heart-stopping, award-winning, wonderful one-on-one edition of your 12-man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia.
Otherworld.
Of the world. We'll be back with more drafting fun right after this. Take us out, this guy.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, a Seahawk Positivity production.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Holy shit, it's the 3rd quarter.
Hey, it's the second half. Wow, listen to my voice. Hey. It's a 12-man Fan Jam Show. I have my voice adjusted at halftime. Hey, you. Yes, you waiting for a call from the commissioner that will never come. Like, share, subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Join our Facebook group, 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Listen to this show on Podbean. Download it on iTunes. Do it now before your dream trades down. Oh, too late. Congratulations again, Will. Job well done. in winning.
Thank you, sir.
Even though you kind of knew the answer to the final question. I should have known better than to use that, but hey, it's the draft show.
You picked the question, though.
I did, and I thought about it all week. I thought, it'll be all right. But that's all right.
Just for fun, I should have gone one over, just for old time's sake.
Just for old time's sake, yeah, or 254.
I would have appreciated it.
Yeah. We're going to look at the 4th, 5th, and 6th round picks in this quarter by the Seahawks from the 2020 draft. But before we do that, I do want to take another look at a college player that went undrafted in the 12-man Fan Jam show, Undrafted Players Spotlight. Yes, the Undrafted Player Spotlight. Once again, we give you something that other podcasts don't do, and that is give you players that were undrafted and give them an opportunity so you can see who was not drafted in the NFL. It's still out there looking for a job. So, for example, Cardigan McSnufflesmith, who is a quarterback from Snootyville College. Cardigan is a 5-star athlete from Snootyville College because daddy taught him never settle for anything less than 5 stars. He's fluent in any language that can be bought off with a bribe. His favorite hobby is throwing coins into the outdoor pool and making the hired help dive in for their weekly pay. Cardigan only throws passes at, quote, girls whose daddies he has seen at the country club. He scrambles like a white dad at a rave, and he only audibles when it benefits him financially. So, Cardigan McSnufflesmith, quarterback, Snootyville College. Will, what do you think about that, guys? That sound like a good backup for Wilson?
Yeah, more a fan of the agent backup that we brought in, but spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert's right. Hey, let's talk about the 4th round. First pick, 133, Will, Colt Parkinson, tight end, Stanford.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised that we went tight end, although I had Hunter Bryant from Washington going here. And Parkinson, not quite as fast as Bryant, but bigger. I mean, the guy's 6'7", 252 pounds. Only runs a 4.77 40, so he's not nowhere near as fast as Jimmy Graham when we brought him in. Stanford really didn't use him as an inline blocker much, just split out as a move tight end. Carroll and Schneider have said that they're going to try to develop him as to be an inline tight end, which, you know, you've got him under contract for a few years. It's worth at least trying to see if he can be the traditional tight end role. So he's got to work on his blocking, but you know, he's got great ball skills, can adjust to the ball in midair, huge wingspan. Plays with intensity. He's going to be a good red zone target, I think. And if he can show a willingness and an ability to be at least a decent blocker on the interior, I think you'll see a lot of time early.
I do too. A lot of highlight films, Dustin, that I saw him. He has no drop passes in his whole career at Stanford, which I thought was great. But it seemed like
neither did I.
He's a really, really big target, and he seems to like to uses his body very well to shield the defenders away from the ball. And something that we always thought they would do more with, and they did at the end of Graham's time here. But maybe they'll really use this guy and really use that size in the end zone for what he seemed to be very successful in Stanford doing.
Yeah, first thing here with this guy, I just want to say that unfortunately Matt couldn't be here to voice his excitement about a tight end with good ball skills.
There you go.
True. Thank you.
He's
Thank
awake.
You.
Yeah, he's awake.
And then
right.
two, I think he'll fit in the tight end room really well. It's been talked about here a lot. He's got really good hair.
Yes, he does. He does.
That's prerequisite. And then he also looks like a trainer at a CrossFit gym.
He does. He does.
Yeah. So
him and Luke Wilson got something.
It's good for him now, but if he's going to be a blocker and have some staying power with the Seattle Seahawks, he's probably going to have to put some meat on those bones and learn how to block. He needs to get his weight up, probably 20, 30 pounds. But I do like the fact that he's got solid hands he can catch. He's kind of a polar opposite of Luke Wilson in that way, which is nice. Mm-hmm. Luke will catch the ball sometimes, but it never looks flawless.
Yeah, right?
This guy, when he's catching the ball, it looks like a smooth thing, like it comes naturally to him. So a natural ball catcher that has a good size to him and has the ability to put some weight on and block, I think that's a good thing and a good fit for the Seahawks.
I agree. I totally agree. Other 4th round pick, 144, A running back from Miami, DJ Dallas. I know that made Travis Homer very happy. Will, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, we had to get a running back because, Carson's got an injury history, although Schneider said yesterday that he should be back by week 1. Rashad Penny, who knows, he's still rehabbing. So, yeah, we need more people in the running back room, and he fits the type of what they look for. I mean, he's 5'10", 220 pounds, and loves to run through people.
Yes.
So he's got a good burst. He's not going to juke around. Not a terribly patient runner yet. Needs to work on that. Doesn't have the great top-end speed, but he's a guy that will run through you and run through the tackle. Also has good hands as a receiver out of the backfield. Has been called the best blocker from the running back position in this year's draft.
Excellent.
And has utility as a return man, too, as a punt returner.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, this kid, we could see more of this kid sooner rather than later.
It's very exciting. I know Travis Homer's excited. Dustin, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, they usually say they like to have a guy who loves football and is all about football. But this guy's already got like his rap name established, DJ Dallas. So I'm not sure how into the game he's going to be. He's already looking at his career.
DJ Jazzy Jeff Dallas.
Yep. But other than that, obviously we had to need a running back because just the health concerns, sheer health concerns from what happened last year. Last year going in, we thought we were really strong. Thought we had, and we were for a while. But at the end of the year, we were bringing in Marshawn Lynch, having Travis Homer trying to be a starter. So
right,
we need the depth. We need guys that can get in there and play. And young guys is the way to go with this mission. So I'm happy to have him, and hopefully he does us proud.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the pick, and we needed a running back in this draft. I felt like I was hoping they would pick a running back sometime, and he seems like you said, he likes to truck people. He likes to run over people. He and Travis know each other, which is only going to help Travis develop better. I like the pick. DJ Dallas, we'll have to see. I think there's a couple other running backs that were hurt last year, too. The guy from Clemson that was undrafted, do we still have him, Choice? Is he still on the roster, Will? Do you know?
He may be now. He wasn't last year.
Because he early in the year he blew out his knee or something, and I was like, this guy I really liked from Clemson. But I think the fact that our running backs, we were down to pulling people off the street last year in the playoffs, and it wound up being our downfall. I think we need to have a healthy running back for sure. So glad to see DJ Dallas. We'll see if the Funky Fresh Prince join him later. But as we're looking at that 5th round, pick 148, 4 picks later, Alton Robinson, the pick that Jose won the draft challenge on. Defensive end from Syracuse. Will, what do you got here?
Another guy that you look at him physically, and he's just perfect fit for the Leo position. Also explosive off the snap, even a bit more so than Taylor. He's got some good pass rush moves. I've heard it said that, quote, his motor never runs cold, end quote.
Nice.
He is not great against the run. He can get the spirit is willing, but he gets overpowered too easily, redirected out of the play. So he's probably going to be a situational pass rusher at the next level, which is fine. We need guys we can rotate in and out who can rush the passer. So he fits a good role there. A little bit of character's a little bit of a concern. He had some issues with his girlfriend a few years back and missed Syracuse's bowl game in 2018 due to a team violation of some sort. But, gives us another pass rusher, and you can never have too many of those.
Very true. Dustin?
Yeah, I felt pretty much the same way Will did about that. I did like the fact that they're saying he was good at the bend whenever he's pass rushing, which is basically, have you ever seen motorcycles when they're racing, when they dip real low and they get close to the ground as they're turning corners?
Yeah. Helps
them corner. That's kind of the same thing for a defensive end. If you can get low like that, get your pads under the level of the hands and whatnot of the other player, get around him, it's a lot quicker to get around his hips and get back to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. So when you get big guys like that have the ability to do that, the flexibility, that helps a ton in the pass rush. So happy to see that we got a guy that can do that. This should be hopefully a lot of fun to watch. And then he's another guy they said likes to try and seek out the strip sack as well. So turnovers, I love.
Yeah, and you talked about getting balance from the defensive end and getting and that's more important than a lot of things. I always think of Chike O'Keefe. Remember Chike? Chike weighed maybe 220 soaking wet, and he would knock those 300-pound linemen on their butts because he just would get that balance and get those pads down, like you said. And every time I think of somebody saying that, I think of Chike O'Keefe, who just seemed to do that better than anybody. We have guys way heavier than him. So, but yeah, Alton Robinson looks like it's going to be a good project here in the 5th round. In the 6th round, they went with a receiver out of Florida named Freddie Swain. Well,
he really came into his own his senior year when they moved him into the slot receiver role full time. Had 38 receptions and 7 touchdowns. He's got good size. He's fast. He's about 4.46 in the 40. Only had 1 drop last year. Generates a lot of yards after the catch. Loves going over the middle. Biggest problem with him is he needs to work on his route running, as he tends to freelance a bit too much. Can be overpowered, but this is a guy who could compete for the last receiver spot on the team as a slot receiver, compete with John Ursua. Also has ability as both a punt and kick returner, so if he flashes either as a returner or as a receiver in the preseason, he could earn a roster spot.
And Dustin, I think when you get to the 5th and 6th round, you're looking at receivers or running backs or defensive backs or anyone that can double as a returner. That's got to be valuable, right?
Yeah, because you're not looking at them as a guy that's automatically going to make the roster, so they're probably going to have to get there and so the ability to play on special teams is going to be a huge factor for a guy like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it's a good combination of size and spin. I think DK Metcalf's kind of ruined me in that regard, because when I think size, I'm like, this guy doesn't have it. But then I realized DK Metcalf, by myself, Metcalf is not the norm.
He's a freak.
Yeah, but from what I was reading, this guy likes to catch with his body a lot, which is not a good thing. You got to get your hands up there and attack the ball. So if he can learn that, I mean, I get why he's doing it if he's playing in the slot, because you want to make sure the defender can't get to the ball. But at the same time, you have to put your hands out there, catch the ball, attack it. Don't just let it come to you and hit you in the chest. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with him.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited about seeing him return. Seeing him make the team as a returner. I think he's going to have to his first year. But we'll just have to see how it all shakes out. And that's all the way to the first 6 rounds of this draft. So let's end the 3rd quarter.
It's the end of the 3rd quarter, bitches.
All right, coming up, we finished looking at the Seahawks draft. We talk about the draft overall. And you are listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, where it is self-isolation every episode. Wash your hands! We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, a Seahawk Positivity production.
If there's a better use for the internet, I haven't found it.
Holy shit, it's the 4th quarter.
All right.
They're supposed to sing happy birthday twice.
Is that what you're supposed to do when you wash your hands? You're supposed to say happy birthday twice?
And then that is the appropriate amount of time, they say.
But what if you sing an alphabet song? Can you do that too?
I don't know if I can. It's my time.
You probably don't know how to do the alphabet song.
I don't think so.
It's happy birthday? Okay, I've been singing the birthday song at Red Robin, and I have to clap my hands, and the whole thing's just a mess.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mirror gets some water on it. No good.
Oh, well.
Yeah, the cat runs flying out of the room. It's just bad.
Yeah, so if you're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show as we start the 4th quarter, and you can help us with our happy birthday song, or is it the Red Robin birthday song? Is it are you supposed to sing the alphabet song? What are you supposed to do when you wash your hands? Count to 20. That's what we want to know. But before
if you do the Red Robin song in the bathroom when you're washing your hands, does somebody bring you dessert?
You could. Ooh, that's nice.
I haven't gotten any, so your mileage may vary.
What about your empty your bottomless bucket of fries, which Red Robin does very well?
Good point. I might start doing that song when I wash my hands.
Yes, the 4th and final quarter, episode 803 of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, sponsored suddenly by Red Robin, and your place for Seahawk fun. Let's take a look at the 7th round and the current list of undrafted free agents invited to come to Seattle to try to make the team. And not everyone was invited to make a team, as I have been presenting to all of you at the start of every quarter, second, third, and fourth, people that went undrafted in what I call the 12-Man Fan Jam Show Undrafted Player Spotlight. All right, our last player that we're spotlighting here is a guy named Tongo Bongo, and all it has is lineman and school. It doesn't say where. Tongo is fluent in absolutely no languages. He is the first player in college football history to play his entire career on defensive line without a helmet and shoulder pads. He majored in wheel and fire, and his favorite color is 5. As far as how he plays, Tongo can be just as ineffective as a defensive or an offensive lineman. He blocks like a speed bump on offense, and you can run by him on defense by either using a decent amount of speed or just throwing a shiny object a different direction to distract him. So, Tongo Bongo, not drafted. All right. Here's
Tongo
who was
is but pawn in Game of Life.
Yes. But here who was drafted by Seattle in their last pick of 7th round. They trade up. They get Steven Sullivan from LSU. Will, are there any more LSU players left? And what about this guy?
Well, actually, my favorite story about him is Miami traded us pick, planning to sign Sullivan as an undrafted free agent. And then we jumped in and drafted him, so they're probably not very happy with us right now.
They're not very happy with us.
That was pretty funny.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, but, boo-hoo.
Yeah.
When you're taking the 5th to the last pick in the draft, you're taking a guy that you're not sure you can get as a free agent, and you're gambling on upside. Yeah. And you look at this kid's physical profile. He's 6'4", 250, runs a 4.6 40, has an 85-inch wingspan, and 10 and 1/8 inch hand size. Whew. I mean, the guy physically is just a freak.
Yeah.
So he's a project. I mean, he played tight end and wide receiver at LSU. It looks like, he was listed as a wide receiver when we turned in the draft card. Carroll said something about using him as tight end. Who knows? But good candidate for the practice squad his first year if we can get him on there. But
sure.
Hopefully, as a long-term prospect, you can't teach this guy's physical profile.
Yeah.
But if you can teach him how to be a reliable target, this could be a fun player to watch a couple of years down the line.
It definitely could be, especially if he bulks up and becomes a pretty good tight end. Dustin, Dolphins kind of played themselves out of this. Do you think he has a chance to make team this year?
This year, I'm guessing probably not, unless something spectacular happens, given how many wide receivers and tight ends we have on the roster.
Right.
I'm not. I wouldn't be especially me for him putting on the weight to try and be a tight end. I think I'd like to have a 6'5" or 6'4" wide receiver out there to be opposite Metcalf. Just red zone target wise would be amazing for something like that. It's hard to cover.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is the guy that had my favorite phone call of anybody.
Yeah.
From this year,
Yep.
Yeah, he kept calling John Schneider coach the whole time.
Yeah. Are you kidding? What is it? Don't mess with me. Don't mess with me, coach. Is that what he kept saying?
Yeah, he was so happy to get drafted. He just wanted to get to work, and he kept calling John Schneider coach.
He did.
He didn't
did.
know what was happening, but he was really excited.
Yeah, he was. That was a pretty exciting phone call. I agree. So that's the free agent. That's actually the draft class of Seattle. And then, of course, they go out and they ask undrafted free agents to come into camp. Among this list, Will, is there somebody that kind of stands out to you that you think might be a sleeper?
Well, Anthony Gordon out of Wazoo set passing records left and right playing in Mike Leach's air raid offense. He's just got good release, good accuracy, not lacking at all for self-confidence. Needs to improve his decision-making a little bit because he can force some passes sometimes. But I hope if he plays well enough, we may have to keep three quarterbacks on the roster, because I don't know if they want to go into the regular season with an undrafted rookie as Russell's backup, but if this kid plays up to his potential, we can't risk letting him go as a long-term backup option. So really looking forward to seeing what he can do in the preseason, and I'm hoping that he can force his way onto the roster.
Yeah, Dustin, anybody there you like?
Yeah, just purely by name. I work with a guy with the same name. He's a pretty good friend at work. His name's Chris Miller.
Hey, Chris Miller was a quarterback for the Falcons back in the 80s, I think, or the 90s, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago. Yeah, this guy's a safety out of Baylor. He's a hard hitter, which means he fits in with us. But yeah, mostly it's just because he reminds me of a guy I know at work. So
yeah, there's some names. Seth Dawkins. I don't know if he's related to Sean Dawkins. Does anybody know from Louisville, the wide receiver? Seth Dawkins and Sean Dawkins are awful close in name, and I just wonder if he's related to Sean Dawkins, who played for the Colts in Seattle for a long time. And then there's a Renfro, which could be related to all the other Renfros. But I think my favorite name on this list has got to be Tommy Champion, the offensive lineman from Mississippi State. You got to have a champion on your team, folks. You got to. So maybe Tommy Champion will make it. Offensive lineman, there's only 1 million offensive linemen in camp, so he's got a big hill to climb, but who knows?
Not 1 million tackles, though, and he played right tackle for Mississippi State.
There you go.
Yep.
So overall, guys, Will, what's your thought of the draft overall for the Seahawks?
I thought this was low-key one of the better drafts in the league this year, because they brought in a couple of edge rushers, which they had to do. They brought in more speed and more athleticism on defense, which they had to do. We got, like I said, I think Lewis is going to be a day one starter on the offensive line. And they got people that can fill roles for us and develop into potential full-time starters. So, last year's draft, our first pick was L.J. Collier, and I get the feeling that he was kind of Seattle's Pete and John's fallback option there, and of course he was hurt and then really didn't do much his first year. Let's hope he can take a big step forward this year. But you watch that press conference, and then you watch the press conferences this year, and Pete and John were just look absolutely giddy. It's like, these are the guys we wanted. We got the guys we wanted. So it's going to be a real, it's going to be eye-opening, because it's been a while since those guys were really the smartest men in the room on draft day. And, I'm just saying, a lot of the recent drafts haven't gone the way we hoped. I like this draft. They like this draft. Let's see if it translates onto the field.
Hopefully it does. Dustin, what are your thoughts on the draft?
Well, this was a surprising draft to me in the way that it was not surprising from a traditional other team sense, because the Seahawks actually made a pick in the first round. They drafted offensive linemen to play on the offensive line. They were going for need in a lot of ways with addressing the pass rusher and things like that. So to me, this was not a typical Seahawks draft, which in a way it was exciting to see, because it fell a little bit more in line with what I was hoping they would do.
Right.
So it was kind of surprising and exciting at the same time.
Kind of like watching Seahawk football. Exciting and
confusing. Yeah, I'm just glad they didn't wait until the fourth quarter.
Amen. I don't know. I don't know much about the draft, I'll admit, but I'm kind of with Will. I think a very low key, very solid draft by the Seahawks as usual. I let those guys do what they do. That's what they do, and I will see. We'll see what happens. I still haven't given up on Collier. 1 year to me does not make a career. He had a rough season, but he has to improve this year for sure. From last year's draft, and I'm sure this year's draft will have somebody like that. Last year had a lot of wow factor. We had DK Metcalf in the draft, and there was a lot of wow factor in these picks, but I think there's a lot of solid picks here and a lot of people that can contribute on the football team as starters. So time will tell, and we'll see if we even have a season coming up, of course. But I think that's looking a little bit brighter too. So our next show, we're not sure what our next show is going to be. We were talking about it probably in a couple weeks. Be looking at 12 Man Fan Jam Show Facebook page, and I'll be updating that. We try to do a show in the off season at least one a month, So if nothing more, we'll have one in June for sure. But before that, we'll see. But until that next episode, I guess it is time to finish this episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. We want to thank you all so much for joining us. We hope you laughed a little and maybe learned a little something. And I think the most important thing we learned tonight is Tongo is but pawn in game of life. So on behalf of my partner in crime, Matt, wherever he is, our news hound, Shadowhawk Will, Statsman Mark, wherever he is, and of course, Dustin as the Beaver, Roger Goodell, Mozette, Little Mo, Jose, Tom, Mark, Ty, Turner, Tongo, Steven Sullivan. This is Moses. Say until next time, as always, go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Stay safe out there. And we'll talk real soon, some Seahawk football.